Hey everyone, this is Ms. Feaster, and I am so glad you're in my AMP2 lecture class this semester. Most of you are probably also taking AMP2 lab, many in my AMP2 lab, and you'll see that our Canvas, my lab and lecture Canvas courses are set up similarly. However, lecture is a very different course than lab is, so make sure if you watch this video, make sure you watch the same how the course works in lab and vice versa, because I've set them, the courses are a little different, even though it looks on the first glance that it's set up similarly. First of all, what you're seeing here is our home page, and if you are using the Canvas app on your phone, you can get to this page if you want to go through these links by clicking on but there's the word home, I believe, at the top of that app. You can click on it. But over here on the left in our Canvas site, this is the course navigation area that I refer to quite often. If I say go to the syllabus link in course navigation, or the smarter proctoring link in course navigation, this is where that is. All right, and you can see that there's several links here. This first one, the syllabus link, is very important because obviously that's where your syllabus is. And a syllabus is a document that shares with you all of the course rules and regulations, policies. It's got the grading scale, it's got attendance policies. Make sure you read all of that. It also tells you on the assignments in this course how much weight each type carries. You also can see that over here on the right. You'll see for our lecture class, we have basically three kinds of graded work. You have proctored tests, you have non-proctored tests, and you have weekly assignments. And you can see the percentages for those. Obviously, the proctored tests are those that I can be pretty much assured you're not looking up answers. I hate to be blunt, but that's, there's you take your proctor test at a proctor site, and they're going to count a whole lot more than the others. Not that the information's more important, it's just I've got to have a way to know that you know material without looking up answers. So you will have, in this class, you'll see that as we go through it, there are 6 tests. 3 of those are proctored, 3 of those are non-proctored. Each one covers a couple of chapters. And your proctored test will be taken at an official proctor site, such as a Heinz proctor site. I will not, let me repeat this, I will not be using Honor Lock in this course this semester. You may have been blessed with that in the past, but the Heinz Proctor Labs are open, and this is a course that prepares you to get into programs and such as nursing and respiratory therapy, radiation, all of those programs, and you'll be dealing with people's lives one day. You will not be able to look up answers then. So it's important to me that you learn how to take a true proctor test where no answers can be looked up. All right, I'm on my soapbox. I'm sorry. But your non-proctor test can be taken from your home computer, but please note you will have a short time limit on those. Each of them is 50 questions, mostly multiple choice and matching, and you have 40 minutes to answer that. That's plenty of time. That's almost a full minute per simple question. So you have plenty of time to take them if you're not spending time looking up answers. So it's important to study first. What's going to get you in this class is if you don't study, obviously. This is not one of those courses where you can just go in and look up answers and click and try again if you get it wrong. All right, these tests you only can take one time. There are no redos. So anyway, make sure you read everything in the course syllabus. All of our rules and regulations are there. The attendance policy is critical that you learn that. In online classes, we take attendance once a week. And if a student has not submitted anything that is a graded assignment for that week, then that student will be counted absent. And there's a limit to how many of these absences a student can get before they're dropped out of the course. And that limit, if you're in the full semester class, that limit is 2, only 2 weeks of no activity. And if you're in the 8-week class, that limit is just 1. And after that, you'll be sent a notice of absence, and you may be removed from the course. So all of that is detailed in the course syllabus. Make sure you read it. Then the course schedule. I am going to open this one up for you on this video. And in this course schedule, you'll see in one document, if it will open, here we go. In this one document, that's just a couple of pages, the 8-week class, of course, you'll be having only 8 weeks there, but it tells you which chapters will be covered each week and when assignments are due each week. And so here you can see the first week, everything's due August 29th, and that happens to be a Sunday. All of our assignments and tests are due on Sunday night, no later than Sunday night at 11:59 p.m. So if you wait till 11:50 to start on it, you're not going to have time to get it done because they are due at 11:59 p.m. But you have all week to work on the various assignments and tests if a test is open that week. So do you see in this particular schedule, the first 3 weeks, you don't have tests, but you will have some assignments, usually a couple of assignments that are due that week. And then on this week 4, you have some weekly assignments, but you also have the first test. Now, in the 8-week class, that first test is going to come sooner. But do you see how on this one document I've outlined what chapters will be covered and when the assignments will be due that week? And then at the end of this, I also just have all the tests there listed for you and what their open dates are. I'll show you which ones are proctored, which ones are not proctored. For these proctored tests, it is important to me that you go ahead and get a spot reserved at a proctored site to take that. You can go in and do that today, folks. Don't wait until the week of the test to get it scheduled because you may not get a seat. You might wonder, well, what if I get COVID or what if I have to be quarantined? If you can send me documentation on that, I will be willing to extend your test so that you can take it once you're out of your quarantine. So, but these tests are open for a whole week, so unless you're quarantined during that whole time frame, you should be able to get that. All right. Anyway, this document is very helpful to you. I would suggest that you print it out and just so you'll have it to refer to easily. Now I'm going to go back to our Canvas site. So I went through the syllabus link. Let me show you one more thing on this syllabus link before I leave it. At the end of this, you see a course summary. This just simply tells you which things are due on what days. It doesn't tell you when it's open, where that schedule that I had just opened up does tell you that. It just gives you, if you hadn't done it on, say, October 17th, you better make sure that and that and that's turned in. So um, I don't like this area. I find that too many times students just go in at the last minute, click on something that's due, and then think that they've done everything they need to do for that week. That's not true. There's a lot of preparation you need to do for these various quizzes and tests. All right, and so that's why I'm going to go to this area called modules. And in modules, if I open it up, okay. In modules, you can see the first 2 modules. This first one called the introduction module. Most of the information here you'll see in all of your online classes. This is set up by our e-learning department at Hines. It's very important that you read all of these links and then take this little survey whose questions can be answered by the information in these links. This survey can be taken several times, but in this class, it's due this next Sunday night, August 29th, and by 11:59 p.m. It's one of the assignments for your first week. Even though you see this orientation survey in all of your online courses at Hines, it's important that you take it in each course. Don't think if taking it in one will do it for the others because I have no idea what you're doing in other classes. This is going to tell me that you want to be in the class. If you don't take this, you might be removed from the class on first week. So that's important. All right, then I have added a couple of other links to the introduction module. This first one is how to access the textbook. All right, for this course, for your lecture course, the way you're going to get your free ebook is to go over to your course navigation area and click on McGraw-Hill Connect. McGraw-Hill is the name of our books, the textbook company that publishes our book. Connect is their bells and whistles website. I have some activities for you to do that come from Connect, but you don't have to go to this link to get to them. You'll see if you look at the modules, I have links for all your assignments sorted by week, and so that'll be real simple for you. But when you will want to go to this McGraw-Hill Connect link is when you're wanting to look at your ebook, your textbook. So I've already got this opened in this link. I'm going to go on to it. Once you go to that McGraw-Hill link, the first time you may have to enter your Hines email, and then it'll take you to this screen. And in this screen, don't freak out. All these assignments, these are some of the assignments that are in Canvas that you'll link to. You don't have to get to them from this area. But what I want you to see is over here on the left, if you scroll down, this where it says read, this is your lecture book right here. Right, and if we open this up, this is the same book. It may be a newer edition. Over the summer, you were probably using the 15th edition of the book. This is pretty much, it's the same book. It's just a new edition. But here I have it set up to start in chapter 12. If you want to go to a different chapter, there's your table of contents, and you can easily go to 2 other chapters. All right, when you're in here, you probably know this, but it's just pretty much one page at a time. So there's one page. To get to the next page, look right here. That'll go to the next page and the next and the next. Okay, so there's your ebook. All right, if I get out of that and go back to the Connect, the McGraw-Hill Connect screen. All right, I want to show you something else. Look at this loose leaf option. If you are like me, you will not like using an ebook. You will want your own personal paper copy that you can keep forever. These ebooks go away after the course is over, but uh, uh, your own paper copy is one you can keep, which you might want once you're in your allied health and nursing programs down the road. But this loose leaf option, you can buy one at the Hines bookstore using a voucher if you've got financial aid. But if you don't, you could also get one right here. You can purchase it at the bookstore, but you can also purchase it right here in this McGraw-Hill link. I believe in this link it's $39, so it's very inexpensive. It's an unbound copy of the textbook, but that's great because if you're only studying one chapter, you can just take those pages out. You don't have that humongous heavy book with you. But a lot of students really will enjoy these loose leaves. So you can, if you need to use financial aid for that, that's wonderful, but you cannot do that through this link. You'll have to go to campus and get that. And I honestly, I don't know what the cost would be if you get it at the Hines bookstore, but you could call them and they would let you know. All right. Okay, so let's go back to Canvas and go back to these other modules. Here we're in modules. The second module is also put out by Hines eLearning, and this is all about COVID and Hines. So make sure you read through that. There's a little quiz on there. This quiz is not going to count any point. It has a point on it, but it won't reflect in your grade. Um, but anyway, once you've done those, make sure you do those. Then here's the meat of the course, these weekly modules. You will have one of these modules for every week. I've dated them, so it's easy to know which one to go to each week. And in each of these modules, you'll see some objectives. That's just a quick little overview of what we're going to be covering. But what you want to make sure you do is look at this weekly agenda. All right, I'm not going to open it right now, but it is very, 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 very important that at the beginning of each week, you open that week's agenda. If I were you, I'd print it out. Of course, I'm old school, like I've mentioned, but I'd print it out so you always can stay on track. When you do, it's going to tell you what you need to be doing. And for the first week, it's going to tell you some of the things I've already said, like go through these other two modules, the introduction, the healthy at Heinz. But then it's also going to tell you now go to your book, which is that ebook, and read chapter 12. Now, if you're in my 8-week class, it goes fast because we got to do double time. We're doing a couple of chapters most every week, but anyway, we may not do 2 chapters the first week, but for most of the weeks we'll be covering 2. But anyway, the agenda tells you to read it in your ebook. But then also, I have in this study resources section, I have a link for you that has documents and recordings, videos that I have provided that will greatly enhance your reading of the ebook. All right, and so I'm going to get to those in just a minute. They are critical for your learning the material. But you also see in each of these modules, you'll see links to anything that's due that week. So you don't have to be floundering all over Canvas saying, well, I'm not sure if I turned in everything. It's right here in your weekly module under the graded week 1 assessments. All right, or the graded week 2 assessment, graded week 3 assessments. So here's that orientation survey. You saw it in the other introduction module, but I also have a link here. If it's due that week, you're going to have a link for it. And then the first week's quiz. This quiz has questions on it that come from the chapters of that week. All right, and so and it tells you all of that in that week 1 agenda. But let me click on this link for this first chapter. All right, and in this chapter link, you're going to see some notes. Now, these are PowerPoint notes, so they're big. They take up a lot of paper, so what you might want to do, if you want these printed out, just make it so that there's several slides per page. You can do it in black and white or grayscale rather than in color. That'll save some of your expensive color ink. So anyway, you know how to handle that. PowerPoint's been around forever. But these notes are where the test questions come from and the quiz questions, weekly quiz questions come from. So these notes are very important. If I were you, I would print these out and then have them in front of you. Pretend like you're going to school on campus with me and you walk in the classroom. I will give you these notes. Well, you've got to print out your own because you're an online student. So print them out. And then with those notes in front of you, if I scroll down, look at this. Here's some videos, some recordings. These are recordings that I made when I was teaching this course on campus right before I retired. I'm a retired um, teacher, and I am loving A&P so much that I still want to teach A&P online, but I'm not on campus. But when I was on campus, this was my main course, and I taught it in a classroom that had a smart board. And that means that I could record my lectures. It could record my voice. And if I made a drawing on the board on top of the notes, this recording picked that up. And so that's what these recordings are. These aren't things even though it says YouTube, I put them on YouTube so I could close caption them and then get them to you. But these are recordings that I made, and they go perfectly with your notes. So what I would do at the beginning of each week, I would print out the notes of whatever chapters we're studying. Then, with those notes in front of me at my desk, not when you've got distractions around you, but pretend like you're in class. Open up your computer, your laptop, and then view these recordings with the notes in front of you. And then you can take notes. So just like you'd be sitting in a classroom. Some of these recordings are maybe an hour, hour and a half in length because it was a long class period. But you have pause buttons there. You can go back in if you need to. And then once you've done that for the whole chapter, then you need to learn the notes. Just like if you were on campus, you don't just go to class in a course like A&P and then say, "Oh, yep, I listened to it. I'm good to go. I can take the test." No, 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 no. If it takes me an hour to explain it, and I've been doing this 35 or more years, then how long do you think it's going to take you to sit down and learn it so you can explain it to me and when test day comes? So it is critical that you pay attention to these notes and learn them after you viewed the notes and viewed the recordings. Spend a lot of time studying your notes, not just viewing the recordings and doing the little quizzes. Study the notes. The more effort you put into learning the notes, then the better you're going to do on your test. The tests come from the notes. The lecture recordings come from the notes, and the notes come from the book. Now, granted, those notes were done with a prior edition of the book because this fall we've got a brand new edition, but the pictures may look a little bit different, but it's barely different. You'll be absolutely fine. You won't even notice that it's a different edition. So don't worry about that. All right, then after the recordings, I've got some other things for you. This first is a detailed study guide. If you can answer the questions in this study guide without looking at your notes or your ebook, then you've got a real good handle on the information that'll be on the test. This study guide was created from your notes. Don't do it first. Don't open up the study guide and look up the answers. See what you can do on your own. And then for those things you don't feel like you knew well, that tells you where you need to go back and study. You are not going to turn in the study guide to me. This is a self-study tool. You won't get any grades on this, but it is a guide. It's a study guide. But it's best used after you feel like you've learned your notes. All right, then I have another optional activity for you. And this one is actually from the McGraw-Hill Connect site. And when you look at it, it's a set of questions that follows along with the ebook. Now, these I cannot pick and choose on the questions on these practices. They are very, very lengthy, but they're really, really good after you've studied the notes, after you've done well on your study guide and you feel like you've got all of that. Then if you have time, go through and see how well you do on these practice questions. Um, so again, these are practice. You will not be graded on this. You don't have to do it. To be honest, you may not have time to do this because it's going to take you a lot of time to study your notes. That's the most important thing. I hope I've made myself clear on that. I don't mean to make this video so long that I'm boring you to death, and you may be bored, and I'm sorry. But it's critical that you study. AP2 is 3 times what AP1 was as far as information and physiology especially. There's a lot of anatomy in AP1, but there's a lot of physiology in addition to the anatomy in AP2. So anyway, all right, so we've done that. Going back to modules. Um, so you will see in each week, I have a link for all those resources, which include your notes, the lecture recordings, a study guide, and then this optional practice if you want to do that. If you can go through, you can see it's flashcards, and they're pretty good. But again, I can't control what the questions are on those flashcards. They're all answered by the ebook, but your test is coming from your notes. The bulk of those questions can also be answered in your notes, so you'll see that. All right, and then after that, you have graded weekly assessments. And then you'll see as the weeks progress, it's all set up the same way. You'll also have some bonus opportunities in the form of discussions. So when we get to those, the weekly agenda will explain that to you. So I don't need to explain that now. When a test comes along, all right, see here's a week that has a test on it. So your test link will be there. All right, and it just goes on through like that. Easy, easy, easy. The key is you've got to study. So what I need you to do today is get through all of this introduction and then read through the Healthy It Hides information and then get to work, read the week 1 agenda and do what it says. Start utilizing these resources that I have for you in this chapter 12 link. Then early in the week, you can go ahead and open up the orientation survey that I have already referred to. It's put out by eLearning, most of the questions. And just you have several attempts on that, but the last attempt will be due August 29th and at 11:59 p.m. And then the week 1 quiz, these weekly quizzes, the questions come from the notes of the chapters of that week. Okay. All right. One other note. And on the quizzes, you do not have several attempts. You have one attempt for each of these quizzes. But that doesn't mean that you can only open it one time. Let's say open it early in the week. You might want to print it out. I don't care if you print these out. Your test questions will be similar to weekly quizzes. It won't be identical, but it'll be similar. But you can print these out and just work on them all week. You can go in and out of this quiz all week long. In fact, I can open up this first one. Oh, it's locked until the 23rd. Today is not the 23rd, so I can't open it now. Just trust me that you can go in and answer questions as much as you want during the week. As long as you do not click the submit button, you'll be able to get back in. So if you click the submit button at the bottom of the quiz, it will be graded and you won't have any more attempts on it. If you just back out of it or close out of it, then you will be able to access it again. And so uh, I think it's good if you study first, then later in the week, not the last minute, but later in the week, maybe Thursday or Friday, open up the quiz and see how many of the questions you feel good about without looking at your notes. For those who don't, obviously go back and study your notes and let them help you answer the questions. When you feel like you've got it all answered, then click the submit button. If you forget, let's say you did the quiz earlier in the week, but you just didn't want to hit that submit button yet, and then Sunday night passes and you forgot to click submit, don't freak out because it will automatically submit any work you've done at the due date. So that will be good. All right. So this week, start on that weekly agenda. I would also suggest you go to Smarter Proctoring and go on and set up times to take the 3 proctored tests. Remember, all proctored tests will be taken on campus. I will not be using Honor Lock in this class. All righty. And your grades, of course, that's where you will see a running average. Of course, that changes every time you have a submission of an assignment. And if it's a heavy assignment like a proctored test, that'll probably change your average significantly because it weights more heavily. But anyway, I am here for you. Make sure to keep in touch with me if you've got questions. The best way to get in touch with me is through the Canvas inbox. You can certainly call me in the syllabus link. I have my phone number listed there, and you can call me. Just please don't call after 9 at night. But you can call early in the morning. I usually get on up, and if you've got questions, get in touch. If I don't answer immediately or if I don't email you back immediately, be patient. I am really good about checking my emails through inbox very frequently each day. And as soon as I can, I will get back with you. I promise. All right. And I hope that you all make an A